So I want to talk about All Blacks selection for their first test in the Rugby Championship. They've got 2 games against the Pumas, against Argentina, both at home. On paper, it's a really good draw for them to get off to a good start, although the Pumas will be a tough test. But you would hope that the All Blacks are better than them and they can get those 2 wins, or they would hope that. But they do have a few disruptions in their team, so definitely a few questions. Sorry this is a bit late, but with time difference and all that sort of thing, I would have wanted to react to this quicker, but it's some really interesting stuff. The changes that aren't happening are in the front row, exactly the same front rows, with De Groot, Taylor and Lomax starting the same bench there, Remua the impact hooker. And they've still got players in the squad who I think could be absolutely amazing. Tossie and Williams, 2 huge props there, could be great for the All Blacks. So they're really well stacked in the front row. But big change at second row. The captain, Scott Barrett, is out for a while, recovering from a finger operation. Tuipulotu's got a minor injury as well. So the 2 experienced second rows are out completely, so it clears the way for the youngsters, for the inexperienced to come in. You could say that Vai's been around the squad for a long time, but he hasn't had the starts. He's been the heir apparent for a long time, so big chance for him to say, I am the senior second row, and stepping up. We've heard a lot about Sam Darry. He's only got 1 cap, so let's see what he can do. And then Josh Lord, we've heard about him. He's been in squads before. He's back from injury, so 3 inexperienced second rows really. What can they do? Are they a vulnerability that Argentina could go after? So that is a question mark. And I do wonder if that lack of experience in rugby, that lack of age experience, is why maybe Ethan Blackadder's in. Also, Ethan Blackadder is a similar sort of player to Scott Barrett, even though he's starting at 6, not a second row like Scott Barrett would have. He's a grafter. He's hard as nails. 29 years old, he would have had more All Blacks caps. He's got 11, but he would have had a lot more if he'd been fit at the right times. And obviously, Robertson knows him from the Crusaders, really reliable. Is he the man he's wanted all along? Of course, it was Semapani Finau, who was the player starting at 6 in July, and he did okay, but he didn't give, I think, enough reasons to say this is 100% my shirt. We've got Frizzell maybe coming back from Japan at some point. Other players that could step in there. Dalton Papali'i, though, will be very happy. He has locked down that 7 shirt, had a good showing in July, and it looks like he's being back to say, you are our open side. Sam Kane's back in the squad, very experienced, of course, former captain, former starting 7, but he's not straight back in. Jacobson could be there, but they're saying to Papali'i, you are the man, go there and do the job, that tackling job that he always does. And Surveyor is, of course, a worldie at 8, but a player who I did want in the 23 when I made my kind of prediction, my 23 I wanted for this All Blacks team for the Rugby Championship. Wallace Satiti is on the bench, and he is an absolute firecracker, so explosive, coming on at 8 probably, causing all sorts of problems. It'll be interesting to see how they rejig that back row if and when he comes on. Does Surveyor go to 7 and Satiti to 8? That would be interesting. But anyway, lots of players they could have gone for in the loose forwards, lots of competitions, of course, but the big win there for Ethan Blackadder. Into the backs, and the half-backs was always going to be Perinara at 9 and Ratimer as the backup 9, because they've basically dropped Christie, which is maybe a tiny bit harsh, but I did say in those July tests, he's a good player, but I don't see greatness in him, which sounds harsh, but at this level for the All Blacks, that's how it is. So they've brought in Noah Hotham to the squad, only 1 cap at the moment, a real talent, but he wasn't going to be in the 23 if Perinara and Ratimer were fit. Ratimer, of course, is a teammate of Damien McKenzie, so that's going to be a really interesting fit to see what happens when he comes on. I imagine McKenzie would stay at 10 anyway. I've still been reading questions that say, Damien McKenzie, is he steady enough for the All Blacks? But I think he's an absolute generational talent, and there's no point playing him at 15 because you've got so many great players who can play 15. I think McKenzie is a worldie, to be honest, and I think the All Blacks are fortunate to have players like that. Should be using them to their max, and I think at 10 it's definitely the way to go. Another player who I'd asked to be in the squad, in my squad, I'd put Anton Leonard-Brown in there at 13. Ioane covering on the bench, covering wing and centres, although Will Jordan can cover wing as well. But Rico Ioane has been fine, but again, he hasn't made the case to say, I am 100% a starter all the time. And Leonard Brown is a fantastic all-rounder. He can literally do everything, and that's not disparaging to say he's okay at everything. He's generally very, very good at everything. Alongside Geordie Barrett, very physical, very skillful, lots of rugby smarts there. Again, a player who I wanted in this 23 was Caleb Clark. I thought they could do with that power. Not that Talaya and Reese are bad players, not at all. And I think that Clark showed what he can do when they played that game in America. So unlucky for him, but Talaya and Reese are still quality players. Although, again, I would like a little bit more power in there with Clark, but I'm sure Talaya and Reese will be great. Beauden Barrett was fantastic in July, just still a class act, and they're starting to wean back in. Will Jordan back from injury. Again, this guy would have had more and more caps if he'd been fit, if he can stay fit. He's still got 31, but he probably would have had more. Definitely the heir apparent to that 15 jersey. Can he stay fit? Beauden Barrett's not going to be around forever. For now, absolutely starting Barrett, but Will Jordan could come on at 15 or the wing. He is just a generational talent. Let's hope he can stay fit. Of course, there's other players to miss out. Proctor would have been a good shout at 13. Ruben Love's been brought into this squad. The young cat player who looks like that new multifaceted player, like a Barrett, like a McKenzie, for the next generation, shall we say. He wasn't going to get a start. Perifetta, I don't know if he's got a little injury anyway, but I think it's a pretty good side. Certainly a few changes in that second row will be a little worrying that maybe Argentina will go after them, but still it should be far too good. Let's see how they go. I want to see how Blackadder goes at blindside. Pop all those comments below. What do you think of this team? How are they going to go against Argentina? And I'll catch you next time.